Welcome to the Sportswire Spotlight. I'm Will Kaderli. Joining me, as always, is Dylan Garner. This episode, we are at J.R. Tucker High School. Why, you may ask? It's fall sports season. That means guys volleyball. And J.R. Tucker boys volleyball team is off to their best start in school history. Fresh off last night, they're now, as of this broadcast, 12-1 on the season. Big reason why. Joining us to the right, outside hitter Zach Bond. He had 19 kills last night in victory over Douglas Freeman, and head coach Sam Rock. Guys, appreciate you being part of the Sportswire Spotlight today.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for having us.
When you talk about sports, you talk about fall, obviously, you know, football is king. We think about the Highland Springs. We think about the Varinas. Tucker is not one of the schools that is usually thought of as a proficiently dominant fall, school sport in terms of success. Volleyball, all of a sudden, it's changed. And I've been following you guys, obviously, for years, and you've had some good teams. This year, it looks and feels a little bit different. And Zach, since you're a senior, I want to start with you. How have you seen this transformation from a good team to all of a sudden a team that's ranked in the top 5 by coaches around the area?
Well, it is really interesting because I started playing in 8th grade because my stepsister started playing, and I was like, I really want to try that out. And then I played JV then, and then my freshman year I came up to varsity. I didn't play that much, but it was definitely a good experience. I definitely improved my skills a bunch compared to if I were to play a JV. But coming to my sophomore year, and then I had Justin Helberg, might be a familiar name, but I helped him get the kill record for Tucker for the most career kills in a season. And then last year was quite unfortunate. I broke my foot in the first tournament of the year.
Oh, wow.
And that was really tough on me, but the travel season helped me get back into it. And this year, like you said, we're off to an amazing start.
And Coach, if you want to, I think you said you've been here since about 2013. Is that what you said? Can you kind of track, how the program has been? Obviously, I'm sure there are ebbs and flows, right, that happen naturally as new kids come in, new kids come out. But kind of backtrack the history that you've experienced here, and maybe why this team is starting to hit this kind of wave so well, a few weeks into the season.
Yeah. I think we've had maybe 4 very successful teams in my time here. And a lot of times these teams have been pretty successful. They've been like one piece away from being really, really good. My second or third year coaching, like around 2015, we had a really talented team that was like a little bit better of a setter away from being really, really good. During the COVID year, we had a very strong team that was maybe a little bit of height away from being very, very good. And then we also, Deep Run and Glen Allen were amazing that year too. And it was tricky. The difference with this group is we're not missing anything. Like and some of it has been surprises. So, people growing over the summer or going and taking a bunch of lessons or figuring out they really love volleyball and playing it nonstop between last season and this season. That's been super duper helpful. To kind of hit on what you were talking about before with kind of fall sports success at Tucker, that's something that we talk about as a group a lot.
Right.
That it's really easy when the first thing goes wrong to just say like, oh, well, this is supposed to happen to us. Like, darn, well,
here we go
again. We're going to lose. And like somebody, the school's going through a lot of change right now. This is a brand new building. We've got new people coming here all the time. And we've talked a lot about like somebody's got to be the first team that stops this,
breaks through,
that says like, we can be good. We can be good here. Mm-hmm. And I think we're showing that right now. That it takes hard work. It takes effort. It takes talent. But you can get there. Like we can compete with these big schools.
Absolutely. And, the funny thing to me is on my way here, I got my radio on NFL radio, and everybody knows football. Everybody knows, this quarterback's young. It's going to take him a season before this team's good. They got the receivers. They don't have the offensive line. So for people who have a general knowledge, working understanding of what it takes for each position to be great in football. You as a head coach for boys volleyball program that's suddenly taken this next step. Talk about the positions on the court. You talked about, a couple of years into your tenure, you were just a little bit too short. You were almost there. There was a couple players here and there. You mentioned, Zach, you break your foot to start last year. Obviously, that had a huge impact. Talk about the players you need to the people who might be watching this and they're like, I don't really know volleyball that well. I don't know what an outside hitter, a setter, a libero, and what he's mentioning on that.
Yeah. So there are essentially 5-ish positions that we go through. So outside hitters are your primary passers. They're going to attack the ball the most. They're kind of the all-around guys. They can kind of do a little bit of everything. They have to be able to block. They have to be able to pass. They have to be able to play defense. They're generally your most experienced players. And generally, usually, mostly, not always, but generally, usually, mostly, your team's going to go like as far as your outsides will take you. Your middle blockers are kind of like your offensive line, to do football reference.
Right.
They when they make a big play, you notice it, but like when you're usually only notice them when they make a mistake and they don't
It's a good
quite,
comparison, yeah.
No,
they don't quite get the recognition that they deserve sometimes, and maybe maybe I say this because that's the position I played when I was in high school, but like they're the big quick guys. Your setter is your point guard. He's distributing the ball. He's making sure that all of his hitters are getting the ball where they need it. They've got to be like your most athletic plaplayer. They
Can't get a kill without a good pass.
And actually, the part of the reason we're being successful right now, and it is one of our setters, Ethan Snow, started playing in 10th grade. Tall kid, came in. Conventional volleyball wisdom a lot of times is, okay, you've got this 6'3", 6'4" sophomore. We're going to play him at the middle. And I went up to our JV coach, Anthony Missler, at the time, and I said, you are absolutely not playing him in the middle. Watch his hands. Like, he is going to be a setter. It's going to be ugly for a little while, but like, that's what we're going to do. And it's paid dividends for us. He's become a very talented setter. Some of the things he did last night, there's not another kid in the area that can do it. Like, it's just not. We've talked with some of the other coaches in the area. It's just the way it is.
That's a great advantage to have.
Yeah,
come game time.
It's huge having this 6'4", 6'5" kid that can just jump up at the net and save balls and has great hands, is really smart, is unflappable. Like, he just stays calm in the moment all the time.
Well, Zach, you went from being the guy to help set up one of your teammates in the previous years to set records at the kill ratio, and now you're the one. Now you're the one who's getting the points, and you're being set up, and you're being asked to deliver. Like I said, 19 kills last night. When do you know? How do you have that feeling where every athlete at one point or another, if they're any good, they're in a zone? What's a zone on the volleyball court feel like for you?
That's really hard because today I was watching back the film, and because I had nothing better to do, I was just like, I kind of want to see what I was doing correctly to help me get to where I was. And I think part of that was because in the past, Freeman has been kind of my rival because I don't really like the guys on the Freeman team. No shade to them.
It's okay.
They were actually really nice.
You got to have a
night.
natural rivalry. That's
Listen,
fine.
I'm a Freeman grad. I understand. Like,
there he goes.
Rivalries exist,
Yep.
But I don't know. Last night, I was kind of locked in. I don't know specifically what it was. I actually didn't stretch as much. My routine when I was setting up actually wasn't as detailed as what I usually do, but I kind of just felt it. Like, I was really happy to be there. Not saying that I'm not happy to be at my games, but that was just a one that I was really happy to be at. And I had a couple of kills where I was I felt good. I felt really good with it.
What's it like playing with your brother?
Well, it's something. I'll say that.
Sounds like there's something there.
It's time to spill the tea.
Yeah.
Last year he started late. He started mid-October, and I was kind of telling him you should have listened to me. You should have played a year before. You should have started earlier. Because he's short, but he definitely gets up. He has a pretty tall vert. But there's a club where you can go and you can play for $5, and we would go almost every single day, and we would try and get better. I would try and help him out with what he was doing wrong. But this year, he's kind of disappointed because he didn't play too much, but there's still stuff that needs to improve upon.
Learn the ropes.
Yeah. But it's definitely cool having him on the team because I can just mess with him in a different way than what I can mess with my teammates.
Zach, I had a question. You mentioned before as we were talking, you are a swimmer as well. So your main, I don't know if you do a third sport or whatever, but your primary two seem to be volleyball and swimming, both of which have this kind of culture of like year-round like play, club play, things like that. Obviously, Richmond Volleyball Club, I think that's what it's called. I feel like the source of a lot of, boys volleyball in this area is, huge, right? I feel
I would actually disagree that River City Volleyball Academy for boys is a much better
there you
club.
go.
There you go.
I may happen to work for them, but
thank you for throwing them in too. I just know the name of the other ones.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
I mean, we have, if there are several obviously here, at least a couple that established like this culture of here of really strong boys volleyball, just like Nova and Poseidon and, Quest and these for swimming. How does that culture, or how does the blend of like club and school play out for volleyball? Because I've talked to swimmers about that, hey, my main priority might be swimming long course in California for Nova or whatever it is, but then, hey, I'm here swimming for Freeman or Tucker or whatever. But how does that play out as far as club versus school for volleyball players?
So for volleyball, I've played 3 years of club, I believe, and the balance, there's not too much to balance, or at least not for me, because I'm not smart, but I'm not too focused on my academic side of things, but I should be.
At least you're honest.
Yeah. Volleyball, it's always something I look forward to at the end of the day. We have practice on Tuesdays and Thursdays for River City, and that was always something I look forward to at the end of the day because school is not my favorite place to be, but ending it off with volleyball is definitely a good thing. I don't think there's too much of a balance, although my sophomore year, I fell behind a little bit because I was either sick or I had a tournament that I had to leave a day early for, but my dedication to school probably was also at fault.
It happens.
But
I was gonna say, to fix a problem, you have to know the problem.
Yeah.
So hey,
So
if you can acknowledge that, everyone can improve. And our department has to talk about attendance stuff all the time. Doing well in school is a good reason, and or playing volleyball, being part of these teams, good reason to stay afloat and do good stuff in school. So
well, I wanted to piggyback off that for both of you guys. This one, and it seems like you've done this. I don't know if it was intentional or you're just like, I love swimming and I love volleyball. But we'll find that out. You picked, as it turns out, a couple of sports where common high school kid doesn't realize the opportunities for athletic scholarships that you just jumped into. No pun intended for the swimming. But literally, swimming, if you can golf, boys volleyball, and Coach, you can attest to this. The popularity of boys volleyball is growing and growing and growing. Matter of fact, I think it was, Dylan and I talked about this the other day. That was kind of one of the more fun events to watch on the Olympic side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Olympics this summer were super fun, especially the men's team playing very well the U.S. men's team playing really well this summer. Boys volleyball is the fastest growing sport in the National Federation of High School Athletics currently. It just got added to 4 more states this past year.
Wow.
This is something I can talk for a while about.
We don't have that one.
And 4 more ODAC schools just added men's volleyball either to start this year or next year. So Bridgewater starts next year. Randolph starts this year. Lynchburg starts this year. Roanoke just started 2-3 years ago. Randolph-Macon is about 5 or 6 years old at this point. They're going to have their own conference championship starting this season, I believe. I might be wrong about that. It might be in 2 years, but I think it's this season. We've had a lot more success on having players use these avenues out of the Richmond area than even just like 4 or 5 years ago. One of our assistant coach this year, Devin Robinson, just finished a really nice career at Marymount University, where he played volleyball there for 2 years, and he played at Bluefield for 2 years. So there's there's lots of opportunities that weren't even there just even like 3 years ago for players that want to play. And there's all these opportunities that are popping up even more and more, just in the Richmond area. I mean, Highland Springs just revived their program after being out for about 8 years.
How cool is that?
How interesting was that? Because I was at that match, and we talked a little bit, and it had been like a decade, but their numbers were impressive.
They had good numbers. They had good athletes. If they stick with it, they're gonna really do some cool things.
I was going to say, what would be your advice to them? Because you've been there not long ago, where this program really is just getting going again.
You have to just find your guys that are dedicated and stick with them. Find your coach that's dedicated, stick with them. Grow relationships with other coaches in the area. That's the thing that helped me the most, was starting to get relationships with the coaches at Deep Run and the coaches at Glen Allen and the coaches at other schools, so that we can bounce ideas off of each other. The first year that I coached club, Josh Forbes, who used to coach at Thomas Dale, he and I were paired together with a team, and I learned more driving to and from tournaments, just bouncing ideas off of each other, than I did in any camp or clinic or anything. Just like having that relationship with other people. And I think with the players, it happens that way too. We see that in the club programs, where it's not just that these guys are learning from the coaches, they're learning from each other too. And they're learning like what their coach at their high school does. And then we do this here this way, and being able to take the best little bits of everything.
That's a heck of a program too, Thomas Dale. I would say that takes a little bit of serious humble pie to eat, to be like, okay, we got our doors blown off by Deep Run. We got beat down by Glen Allen. And I'm going to learn stuff from these coaches and develop relationships with them, even though we lost to straight sets.
I mean, there's got to be a reason why they're winning, right? And so you want to find it out. I mean, I started coaching here because I had the previous coach had to leave. They couldn't find anybody for a couple months. I was teaching English to a couple of the players on the team, and I had randomly said in class one day, like, hey, when I was in high school, I played volleyball and baseball, blah, 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 blah. And they found me like the second to last week of school. They're like, hey, we really need somebody. Can you do this? And I was like, I haven't thought about volleyball in 15 years. And they wore me down, and they eventually got me to it. And it's been fun ever since. It was one of the best decisions I've ever made to be able to do that, because it's really, I mean, that's at this point, it's like my vocation. Like I literally work for a volleyball club at this point. So it's turned out to be something really good for me. And it just takes that dedication to like wanting to be better. And I think they can have it over there. I think they really can. Highland Springs has a history of having good volleyball programs. They're in the late 2000s, maybe early 2010s. They had some good teams over there, because they had a coach that was like ready to go, and he was doing off-season stuff, and he was getting those kids in the gym, and that's just what it takes.
Zach, as a senior, you're going to be graduating at the Henrico Sports Complex. Ironically, you guys pretty much got your season started over there. What was it like playing there?
Well, it wasn't the first time, because for club, we did practice there. In
Gotcha.
Very beautiful facility. One of the nicest facilities I've ever played in. But playing there at that first tournament, or I guess it was the second tournament, but it was really nice. I got to see a bunch of my teammates from travel, and obviously from the Tucker team.
Is that when you knew how good you could be, though? Or when was that light bulb? Or has it even come up yet? Because you haven't had haven't really had many home matches at all yet.
We've had two, and we haven't had one in a month.
And it's been a month, which is weird scheduling. Yeah. I won't get on that one. But has a light bulb gone off yet where you're like, what do we need to do to compete at the regional level, state level type thing?
Yeah, we've definitely discussed, like, we have the potential, like, we need to really push ourselves to get there. I catch myself being a little bit mean to my teammates at times, but I'm really trying to get better at that and trying to encourage, like, the dedication that we need to get to the level that we can really be at.
Sam, is this a team that can win states?
I think so. I think, kind of to go off of what Zach said, we've got dudes, like, don't get me wrong, but we've found in the past 2 weeks of practice that the guys that aren't in that, like, rotation of 8 guys that are playing all the time are also, like, killing it in practice. and they are pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And that's been a huge difference this year too, because Zach can attest, he's been with the program for 5 years. There's definitely been times where you've got your 7 guys and then you've got some guys that are hanging out.
Yeah.
And we've got 16 guys that are all in. Like they are ready to go. And I do really believe that Tournament of Champions was like a big eye opener for us, that like it went from like, oh, we could be good to like, oh, we will be good. Like this is happening.
Zach, I had a quick question as we kind of wrap up here. You mentioned last year you broke your foot, kind of, tailspin for your own season, but I'm sure you had a lot of time with the team as far as like how to cooperate and learn with people from the sideline or in practice and things like that, right? Over the last year and then now into this season, how has that helped you maybe for this run where the team is coming together? You have like a lofty goal in mind, right? How was a season where you had to maybe stay on the sideline, be a support role? How has that influenced now the team coming together and making this big push with you as a central focus on the court now?
Well, being on the bench last year, my main goal was to try and hype people up, get them encouraged and stuff. And it seemed like if you're not in that spot, it definitely seems like you're not really doing much, but definitely getting the energy up on the court. My brother plays a big role this year for that. He was really loud last night. But that definitely encourages the players to get the energy that they need to be able to push through. And if we're in a difficult set or a difficult match, that's definitely the next step up that you need to win that game.
And how do you guys keep this culture going? You mentioned this is kind of a foundational year for a lot of you guys and for, this program after the last few years. How do you, once you graduate, right? Like, what will be the reason why they are able to continue success? Like, what are those pieces that you want to make sure that, hey, the younger guys, your brother, whoever that might be, how the next, team continues the success and momentum that you guys have built?
Well, what's cool about us is, this year is a little bit different, but usually we have a couple of sophomores, a couple of younger guys on the varsity squad. But we try and, or at least I and a couple of the teammates try and encourage the JV guys too, a little bit active while we're watching their game. Especially during practice, we just like to mess around with them.
Yeah.
I guess if you have a water break, you just pepper or hit the ball with them.
Yeah, right.
It's definitely fun, but encouraging the younger guys to keep the chance or keep the encouragement going definitely will keep it going.
Yeah, positive energy sounds like a very common thing for
Definitely.
you, so that's really cool.
Well, there's always a back and forth too, because the JV plays right before varsity, and then they literally help you warm up. You get to serve and just nail the ball right at them, and they try to catch it, and it's pretty fun to watch. Zach, you have a chance to leave here with a major title and maybe even start a new program at a college. Your future, I heard you say off camera, you're interested in Virginia Tech. Volleyball future, what are you thinking?
Well, so Virginia Tech does have a club, and I would be very, very happy if I would be able to play on that club. They do have 3 teams, but if my academics aren't good enough to get into Tech, I will definitely look into other schools that have teams or that have clubs to definitely play more, because I love the sport. It's so much of my life and has been a very big part of my life for the past 4 or 5 years. So it would be definitely a big role to keep going.
The final question for you also is, what would you tell to other kids that are kind of like they want to do something, and for you picked volleyball? What would you say to them? Why pitch boys volleyball to them? Boys
volleyball. It's similar to other sports. You get to build relationships with guys. I came in as a freshman, and it was definitely nice to have friends coming into school that are older than me and that know what's going on. It was a little bit different because of COVID, but if you have older guys that have been in high school and you just came up from middle school, that's like an extra step that you have over other people. But the relationship you build, if it's a way to stay healthy, and a way to kill time if you don't have anything else.
There you go. Way to stay active. You guys have been more than active. 12 wins, 12-1 at this current moment. You got a big one coming up against Glen Allen. That'll be a fun one to see. I might have to go to that one. Glen Allen taking on J.R. Tucker. Guys, I appreciate it. I wish you nothing but success the rest of the way, and hopefully see you in the playoffs.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for being part of the Sportswire Spotlight.
Absolutely.
You know, it's really impressive when you talk about boys volleyball. Obviously, you know, if you're talking about a dinner plate, the steak and the sizzle is football in the fall, and we think about Highland Springs, we think about Varina, and we think about programs like Hermitage and all of that. Tucker has not seen success, except maybe in track and some individuals in swimming, right? But they haven't seen this kind of level of success for team sport in quite a while. So that's why I thought it was really, really cool for us to be able to come here and talk about guys volleyball, the success of Zach Bond, what he's doing, and the head coach who's seen it from the ground floor, right?
Yeah.
And kind of built it from the bottom all the way up now, where you know they're sitting at 12-1, the best start Tucker's ever had in boys volleyball, and this school's been around a while.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely rooting for their success going forward. You know, we've talked so many times, like I've covered Glen Allen volleyball a few years ago when they were on their crazy run, deep run, goes without saying. Freeman's had their time, you know. Lots of these schools have had these giant programs that you just expect them to be there every year, right? And someone kind of breaking through, obviously it's a school that maybe like geographically you'd expect, right? Because they're right in the middle of all these others, right? But for them to kind of have this season where not only are they like competing with these teams, they're beating them, you know, most of them, if not all of them. So it's been really fun to track that. And I think we mentioned the Olympics part when talking to them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's one of those sports where I don't think a lot of people have witnessed it in a live setting necessarily or seen it at like a high level all the time. I highly recommend anyone here, or even if you're just a fan of the community, to come. That you mentioned Glen Allen is playing Tucker.
That's a good
next.
one to go to if you want to test the waters.
That is an amazing atmosphere and vibe when you're seeing it at a high level in the Olympics, or you're sitting in the stands at the gym at Tucker or Glen Allen or whatever. So I highly recommend, you know, supporting these guys, you know, supporting this sport, because like I said, I was blown away in the times that I've seen it in person with Glen Allen, and, you know, seeing the Olympics and stuff. It feels like a sport that everyone can really enjoy without too much knowledge of it. Well, I think it is what it is. It's great. It's action. You know?
And it's wild. I mean, I'll cover a couple a week if I can. And honestly, some of them are boring because one team is dominant. Right. And I get a lot of sweeps, three set matches. That won't happen on Tuesday. Yeah. When Tucker plays Glen Allen, you're probably looking at 4 or 5. And the excitement when it comes down to like 1 or 2 points, you can feel it. It's palpable. It's really there.
It's also one of those sports like baseball where they're like, you know, it's not over until the final out, right?
No,
there's no timer, right?
So lots of momentum swings too. That
you could be down
off the chains.
You could be down 20 points, and you have a chance if things break the right way. So it's a great time. Highly recommend it, especially to support these guys because they're doing great things.
Absolutely.
And I just wanted to throw out, this is our first show of the year. I know we kind of got to jump into it quickly, but just wanted to say that. So if you know of any student athletes or teams or coaches or anyone that you think would be a good vibe for this in our schools, you know, please throw them in the comments, send us an email, wherever, you know, tell your coach to contact us. But we're definitely looking, we have some ideas already kind of working. But,
and they don't have to be stars. They can be somebody who's like a backup of a backup of a backup, but works at a soup kitchen.
Yeah. I mean,
like cool stories off the court as well. I mean, and nothing against Zach, tremendous kid, coach, tremendous. We do love seeing what else kids do in the community as well. Also, so
I'd say standout athletes, standout people. We welcome both. So, you know, any recommendations, or if you're volunteering someone, holler at us. We'd love to talk to some cool people.
Give us a shout out. Give us an email. WMKaderli at henrico.k12.va.us or Sportswire at henrico.k12.va.us.
I was about to say, do you get the long one too?
Yeah, those are so hard. I've been saying it so often at the end of the show that now I've got it memorized. Yeah. But it's a really long email.
I'm glad you got it memorized because I
really long email.
Yeah, but
let us know. Otherwise, and when you do, we'll be at your school next.
Yeah,
and that's where we'll host the very next episode of the Sportswire Spotlight.